got the forelimb functions as wings. The two hind limbs with clawed toes support body and very different toes on different birds. A toothless horny beak is present. Body temperature is generated and regulated internally. Has a 4-chambered heart. Amniote eggs are encased in hard calcium-containing shells. Most species' eggs are incubated in the nest, but not all. Yes?
I get confused on the chambers in our heart.
Oh, God.
Pros and cons, why it's important that this animal has so many chambers and that one doesn't. Just then my next question is the stomachs. Multiple stomachs, but okay.
Right. And
so can you
this,
address that?
This is where particularly, later on I'm going to be launching into Cornell and their website, and they have spectacular interactive programs that you can understand every part of a bird's structure and how it's going to benefit it. And that is the best link you can possibly have. Because I know what you mean. It's confusing. I know when I was first learning about digestion and the process of monostomach versus the four, and it makes sense. But it took a while for me to really understand the process. And the same thing with the heart. But if we have time, we'll get into those sort of in-depths. So, back to what makes a bird a bird. Birds are unique in the animal kingdom for many reasons, but of course, what truly sets them apart are feathers. So feathers perform a variety of functions. They are used for what? What's one thing that feathers are used for?
Flying.
Flying, absolutely. Flight management. What else are feathers used for?
Temperature regulation.
Yes, insulation. What else?
Camouflage.
Camouflage. Protection, you bet. And of course,
Buoyancy.
what? Buoyancy, absolutely.
Courtship.
Courtship. Oh yeah, we've all seen fancy males. And of course, birds at one point in the Victorian age were disappearing rapidly. The fashion at the time during the established really by Marie Antoinette. In the late 1700s, there was a great demand for feathers. They were displayed in hats and hair. This is something I show children when we talk about the 5 main threats to wildlife. And some of these hats, it wasn't just like stick a feather in my hat, don't sing the song. But it was, full birds. It might be a nest with all these birds wrapped around. An enormous bird with all its plumage on the top of your head. And the amount of feathers displayed indicated a woman's social and financial status. Birds were killed and shipped to England, and it devastated some of the bird populations. But as humans do, we do these horrific mistakes, and then we try to fix the damage. So different acts were passed to protect birds. Eventually, these acts were replaced by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918. And this act proclaimed all migratory birds and their parts, including feathers, eggs, and nests, were fully protected. And that is one of the reasons I have a job with this environmental consulting company, because all these birds are protected. If you find a nest, a viable nest, certain birds have 150-foot distance. Some raptors have 300, and they cannot be disturbed. When I was working down in the desert with the tortoise, I was on one of the wind farms, and they were building roads into the Mojave, and there was a loggerhead shrike and it just, shot past me. They're just these beautiful birds. They call them butcher bird because they'll like get insects and then just stick them on barbed wire and eat it later. It's like, if you didn't know that, you walked past some barbed wire, it's like, that's got to be some kind of message. Okay, I'm leaving. But so I see shot, and she, or he, just shot and went into the nest, and of course I was excited, but because I saw the nest, I shut down work on this turbine road that was they're going to be building 5 turbines, so I put them behind their schedule, and as I told my boss, I'm sorry, I can't help it, but fortunately there are these protections. Some, not enough. So I am now going to open up some of those fantastic, let me find it. Come on, baby. I gotta see how to do this, so I think I can exit this. Sorry. Alright, all about feathers. Hurrah, hurrah. Alright, so, what is unique to birds? So what physical characteristics are unique to birds? You may think beaks, feathers, wings, laying eggs, or walking on 2 legs. All of these are important elements of the bird anatomy, but only one of these sets birds apart. So, of course, with the beak, all birds have beaks, but so do turtles and duck-billed platypus. What about wings? What other animals have wings?
Bats.
Yeah, bats, insects. All birds have wings, but so do bats and insects. How about bipedalism, walking on 2? Who else does that?
Us.
Yeah, us. We were discussing in one of our groups, we were out by the chimpanzees, and it was actually the ed group, and we were discussing how did humans develop butt cheeks. And it became quite an interesting conversation. Those are the kind of conversations you can have with people out in the zoo, and believe me, if you talk about butts, they're listening. But it had to do with becoming upright and needing, more muscle to hold up the body, and it's like, oh yeah, it's not just to wear jeans, okay? So what about eggs? Do any other animals lay eggs? You bet. All birds lay eggs, but so do snakes, insects, and fish. And of course, desert tortoise and turtles. So what do we have left? Feathers. So birds are the only living animals with feathers. And let's move on. All right. So, feathers. How are they built? And this is from the Cornell website, which anyone can download, and it's spectacular. So, feathers are light, flexible, strong, and colorful. They're impressive structures. Although feathers come in an amazing array of types, they are made up of the same basic parts that involve small modifications to serve different functions. Downy feathers have a loosely arranged structure that helps trap air close to the bird's warm body. The structure of other feathers feature small alterations that make a big difference. Microscopic hooks that interlock to form a wind and waterproof barrier that allows birds to fly and stay dry. So let's check out and
So when you say Cornell, is that Cornell University?
yes, yes. The Academy is all about birds. They're Cornell Academy. So if you look at your own feather, I don't know if they're all wing feathers. If anyone got a tail feather, that's pretty darn cool too. But I'm not, there's my hat. So with the wing feather, and run your hand up and down it, and you can separate, and it all come back together. They're just fabulous. So, in the wing feather, you've got this branch structure that interlocks like Velcro to create a uniform windproof surface that allows lift in flight. The main wing feathers are typically asymmetrical with a shorter leading edge for improved aerodynamics. And that is, if we have any physics specialists, you feel free to teach me later more about lift. I've never learned to fly a plane either. So, one, you've got the pernacious region, and that is the area where barbs interlock to create a smooth surface or vein. So within that, you've got the rachies, which is that central shaft. You have off of the rachies, so you've got the barbs attached to the rachies. One of the primary branches are these barbs. And then from the barbs, you have the barbule. And those are secondary. You've got that main, off to the barb, and then the barbule. And then we get to play with flight. Ooh, I know. I was like, do this all day. Let's see.
Carol,
yes.
you were repeating, what's this section called? The pernacious region?
Yes, so pernacious, exactly. Pennacious, not pernacious, my mistake. So of course, we have the barbs, and we've got the rachies is that central shaft. The calamus is the hollow barbless base, which is where the central shaft is going to attach to the muscles in the bird. And these little downy parts near the body, those do not have barbs and barbules that hook together. And by having that, you're going to have more air that can get in and keep the bird warm. So, structures of warmth. Where feathers are plumulaceous, that sounds warm, barbules do not have hooks and so do not interlock with nearby barbules. The barbs spread out into a fluffy mass rather than forming a flat surface. This loose microstructure traps air next to the bird's warm body and allows some birds to stay warm through frigid winter nights of minus 40 degrees or colder. So we've got the barb, of course, is coming off, and then we have one of the barbules, but they aren't going to make that flat surface. So in this case, they're just this one's not as fun. Okay. Okay, loosely arranged, but I feel plenty warm. Okay.
So when you get a down pillow,
Yeah.
is this?
Right. So I will. The down is even more. It's like it's just all fluff because there's like this in between feathers that is. So anyway, let's see. All right. So what do feathers do? Each feather on a bird's body is a finely tuned structure that serves an important role in the bird's activities. Feathers help birds fly, but they also help them show off, blend in, stay warm, and keep dry. Some feathers have evolved as specialized airfoils for efficient flight. Others have developed into extreme ornamental forms that may even hinder mobility. Often we can readily tell how a feather functions, but sometimes the role of a feather is mysterious. So, let's see. Flip the tiles to the left to explore. All right. So what do these feathers do? Do you think it's insulation, waterproofing, displays, flight, or camouflage?
Flight.
Flight. Let's test that theory. Yes. As seen in this roseate spoonbill, the primary and secondary wing feathers are what allow birds to take to the skies. Unlike other feathers, they're anchored to the bone by a strong ligament, so they can withstand the demands of flight and be precisely positioned. Both types of wing feathers have a distinctly asymmetrical shape with a shorter, less flexible leading edge that prevents twisting during flight. All right, what do we got here?
For some wing feathers, though, it can also be display, right? I mean, don't some birds like put show off by opening?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So, what do these feathers do? What do you think?
Display.
Display. Let's check that out. Yes. So, isn't that just spectacular? I saw that for the first time. I thought, okay, is it something on the peacock? Is the color? And then all of a sudden, this magnificent animal popped up. Some tail feathers are so highly modified for display that they don't look like tail feathers at all. This iridescent spiral from a king bird of paradise tail functions as an ornament in the male's courtship display. Structurally, the feather is bizarre, with a bare rachies that ends in a tight spiral of barbs and barbules arranged only on one side of the rachies to form an eye-catching, brilliant green medallion. Oh, that's not I mean, wouldn't you follow them anywhere? All right, what do we got? What's this?
Display.
Display. Is that the best? Okay, let's see. Yeah. So, when raised, the male wood duck's iridescent crest forms a colorful fan that functions as an important element in the courtship display. Like many bird species with specialized head feathers, wood ducks can completely change the shape of their head by raising and lowering their crest. This transformation is accomplished by manipulating muscles under the skin to elevate thousands of tiny feathers in unison. I often think it's like when you're talking about a hedgehog or a tenrec, and when they are disturbed and they will ball up and all those spines will go into position. They have a muscle that goes along their back and they'll just tighten up, and so they're protecting themselves and everything is out, and that's not display. That is like, get out of my business. But not all species crests are used to woo a partner, but raised crests consistently signal that a bird is excited in some way. And of course they do mention the jay, how they keep their crest lowered when they are at rest or with family, but raise them during aggressive interactions or when they are alarmed. I bet you know this one. What is this? Camouflage. So, this is a common cuckoo. I saw some in Panama, and you wouldn't have a clue that they're there until they open their eyes. So the drab contour feathers covering the body of common cuckoo seem lackluster, but they help the cuckoo accomplish an impressive degree of camouflage. Famous for hiding in plain sight, it is covered with feathers that mimic the coloration of the tree branches it perches on. Adding to the disguise, it'll adjust its posture and close its eyes into tiny slits, making itself appear to be an extension of the tree. And you can see here is the tree, and here is the beginning of the cuckoo with his feathers, his tail. And even with eyes closed, the cuckoo can see what's going on nearby thanks to tiny folds or peepholes along its upper eyelids. Evolution amazing. All right, hard to beat him. What's this?
Insulation.
Insulation. So, covered with fuzzy feathers, young mute swans must be able to swim and forage alongside their parents almost immediately after hatching. The temporary natal down on these pre-coastal chicks. Have we touched on